Welcome back to the space of connection. I'm Sophia, and as always, my heart is racing with excitement to be sitting here in this cozy studio. I'm so glad you've joined us to search for the invisible threads that tie us all together. You know, in a world that's spinning faster every day, simply pausing to touch another person with a word has become a rare luxury.
And I'm Paul. Sophia, I have to be honest. Before stepping into the studio this morning, I had an experience that was, how should I put it? It was a bit cold. I was walking through the long hallway of the downtown office building. There were at least 30 or 40 people there. But the strange thing was, it was so quiet, I could hear the echo of my own heels hitting the marble floor.
30 people and complete silence? What were they doing, Paul?
That's the problem. Everyone had their own private companion in their hands, the smartphone. Pale blue light flickering against expressionless faces. Some were scrolling through social media at breakneck speed. Others had noise-canceling headphones on so large they seemed to be screaming to the world, "Do not disturb me." It felt like I was walking through a labyrinth of lonely souls. There was this invisible wall, thick, solid, and reinforced, separating us all. We were physically next to each other, but a million light years apart in spirit.
I know exactly how you feel, Paul. It's the reality of the digital age. We build perfect personal profiles online, but we forget how to smile at the person standing next to us in the elevator. But Paul, would you believe me if I told you that the invisible wall you just described is actually much thinner than you think?
Thinner? How could it be thin, Sophia? I tried clearing my throat once and nobody even looked up. It felt like bulletproof reinforced glass. No, it's more like a thin layer of ice on a lake at the start of winter. It looks solid, but if you tap it in the right place, in the right way, it shatters. And today, we are here to equip our listeners with a special tool. Think of small talk, those casual social greetings, not as meaningless words, but as a small, exquisite hammer designed to gently tap that ice. Small talk? Sophia, are you kidding me? I've always considered small talk to be a form of torture. You know the drill. Questions like, "Sunny day, isn't it?" Or "How have you been?" It's bland, it's forced, and sometimes it makes the atmosphere feel even more awkward than the silence itself. I thought we were going to learn about public speaking or million-dollar negotiations.
That is the most common mistake, Paul. People look down on small talk because they only see the surface. But listen, small talk is actually a social ritual. It is the front door that leads you into a grand house. Imagine you are visiting a magnificent castle. You wouldn't just burst into the living room or the bedroom immediately, right? You have to go through the gate, knock on the door, and wait for the host to greet you. Small talk is that first step. If you aren't willing to open this front door, you will forever be standing outside in the yard, in the coldness of being a stranger. You'll never get the chance to admire the beauty inside, the deep stories and the kindred spirits waiting for you.
The front door. That metaphor makes me rethink things. Are you saying that without that initial blandness, we can never reach the meaningful conversations hidden behind it?
Exactly. No one starts a lifelong friendship by asking about each other's greatest pain in the first second of meeting. We need a safe buffer zone. Small talk creates comfort. It sends a nonverbal signal. I am friendly, I am not a threat, and I am willing to listen to you.
Now that you put it that way, this small hammer is starting to feel pretty heavy duty. I just realized how many castles I've missed out on simply because I was too lazy to knock. So today, are we going to learn how to knock in the most subtle way possible? Not too hard to scare them off, but not too soft to be ignored?
That's right, Paul. We're going to learn how to observe, how to choose the right words, and most importantly, how to put your heart into the simplest sentences. We are going to turn those silent moments in the elevator, at the bus stop, or in the supermarket line into the seeds of a new relationship.
Amazing. I'm ready to start knocking. I feel like I'm preparing to explore a whole new territory. Listeners, are you ready?
Smiling brightly. But before we pick up the hammer and begin this journey of discovering the wonderful souls out there, there is one very important thing you need to do right now.
Exactly. To make sure you don't miss a single secret tip in this series on connection, Please take just 3 seconds. Hit the like button if you've ever felt that invisible wall, and don't forget the subscribe button to officially become a member of our family. Your support is the greatest energy for Sophia and me to keep sitting here and sharing.
Stay with us, because right after this short musical break, we will move into level 1. I'm going to show you how to turn the weather into an irresistible opening.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. As I promised before the break, it's time to pick up our little hammer. Paul, are you ready to step up to the front door?
Ready as I'll ever be, Sophia, but I'm still feeling those butterflies. To be honest, standing in front of a total stranger usually makes my brain go completely blank. I keep trying to think of something brilliant or incredibly wise to say to impress them, and the result is I say nothing at all because I'm terrified of sounding foolish.
That is a trap so many people fall into. We put this immense pressure on ourselves to be a master orator from the very first greeting. But remember the golden rule of level 1. The simpler, the better. We call this the context starter, using your immediate surroundings as your anchor.
Using the context, so I just say whatever I see? Let me try. Suppose I'm at a coffee shop. I look at a chair, and I say to the person next to me, "This chair is blue, isn't it?"
That sounds ridiculous, right? They'd look at me like I just dropped from another planet and say, I'm not blind, I can see it's blue. Exactly. That's too obvious, and it's missing a core element, emotion. You can't just state physical facts like a laser scanner. Level 1 requires you to add a little spice of personal perception. Let's reimagine the scene. You're standing in the lobby of a professional seminar. The air is a bit stiff. Everyone is dressed formally and looks a little stressed. Instead of staring at your phone to hide, look at what you are both experiencing together. Paul, what do you see there?
I see a table set up with tea and coffee. Steam is rising from the cups.
Perfect. That's your touch point. Instead of saying, "This is coffee," try this. "The coffee here has a surprisingly pleasant aroma, doesn't it?" Or, "The coffee here seems much bolder than at other seminars I've attended, don't you think?"
I'm starting to see the difference. When I mentioned the pleasant aroma, I'm sharing a positive perception.
Precisely. Why is this so effective? Because it meets 3 criteria. Safety. You aren't asking about their name, their job, or their private life. You're just asking about a cup of coffee. If they don't want to talk, they can just give a small nod. No one feels attacked. Agreement. When you make a positive remark, the other person's brain naturally wants to agree with you. Agreement creates a tiny happiness hormone that helps the ice melt. The tag question. Phrases like, "Doesn't it?" or "Don't you think?" are an invitation. You are handing them the ball as gently as possible.
Fact plus perception plus tag question. Let me try applying that to a different situation. What if I'm waiting for the bus and it's freezing outside?
What would you say?
I'd say, "This wind is really biting. I hope the bus arrives soon so we can get somewhere warm, don't you?"
Clapping! Spot on. You just shared a common struggle, the cold, a common hope, the bus arriving, and opened the door with a friendly tag question. Who could refuse a warm comment like that on a cold winter day? Sophia, I've realized something. To do level 1, I'm forced to look up. I actually have to observe. You've hit on an incredibly important point. Presence. In an era where everyone is absent from their own lives because they're lost in the virtual world, your observation of reality is a gift. When you talk about the smell of coffee, the sunlight through the window, or the long line at the supermarket, you are pulling the other person back into the present moment. You are telling them, "I see you, I see this space, and we are here together." That is the silent power of small talk. It doesn't need grand words. It only needs sincerity and acknowledging the world around you.
It's strange that those comments about coffee aromas or supermarket lines that I once thought were bland actually carry such a deep meaning of connection. It's like reaching out a hand and saying, "Hey, I'm here too, in the same boat as you."
Exactly. Never underestimate the small things. Every great friendship, every major business deal can start with a remark about the weather or a cup of tea.
I'm so much more confident now, Sophia. I don't need to be a sage. I just need to be an observer with a heart. Sophia, now that I've successfully knocked on the door with level 1, what happens next? The ball has been thrown. If they catch it and throw it back, how do I handle it so the fun doesn't stop?
Great question. That is when we need the techniques of level 2. But before we explore level 2, I want our listeners to try practicing level 1 today.
That's right. Whether you're at a restaurant, the office, or on a train, try to find one positive detail in your environment and share it with the person next to me. And don't forget to come back and let us know how it went.
Now, let's relax with a bit of music before we dive into the art of open questions in the next segment. Welcome back! Now that we've successfully used level 1 to knock on the front door with our context starter, it's time to actually step inside. Paul, you've made eye contact, you've shared a smile, and you've made a great comment about the aroma of the coffee. The other person smiled back and said, "Yes, it really is a great blend." Now what?
This is usually where I panic, Sophia. This is the moment where I feel the dead end trap closing in. I usually follow up with something like, "So, do you like coffee? Or are you here for the seminar?" And they just say, "Yes," and silence. It's like the door opened for a split second and then slammed shut right in my face.
That is exactly what happens when you use closed questions. Think of a closed question like a wall. It only gives the other person 2 options, yes or no. Once they pick one, the transaction is over. There's nowhere else for the conversation to go. To keep the momentum, we have to move to level 2, the open-ended game.
I've heard of open-ended questions before, but in the heat of the moment, my brain just defaults to "do you" or "have you." How do I break that habit?
It starts with a simple linguistic shift. You want to trade your do's and are's for what, how, and why. But here is the professional secret, Paul. Don't just ask any open question. Ask about experiences.
Experiences? Can you give me an example?
Sure. Instead of the standard, boring question, "Do you like your current job?" which is a closed question that invites a one-word answer, try asking, "What has been the most challenging part of your project this week?"
Whoa, that's a big shift. If someone asked me that, I'd actually have to stop and think. I'd have to tell them about the late nights, the technical bugs, or the team meeting that went off the rails.
Exactly. You've just hit the nail on the head. That question forces them to reflect. It's an invitation for them to share a piece of their world with you. When you ask about a challenge or a highlight, you aren't just exchanging data, you are exchanging stories.
I love that. It's like I'm not just asking a question, I'm giving them a stage to speak.
Precisely. Now, let's go back to our favorite metaphor, the game of catch. Imagine the conversation is a glowing ball of energy. In level 1, you picked up the ball and showed it to them. In level 2, you are throwing the ball towards them with an open-ended question.
Okay, so I throw the ball. How did you get started in this industry? They catch it, they tell me their story about moving from New York to London to start a tech firm, and then they throw the ball back to me?
Not quite yet. This is where most people fail. They catch the ball and immediately say, "Oh, that's cool, I went to New York too." And then they start talking about themselves. What happened to the ball?
I guess I just pocketed the ball and started playing a different game.
Exactly. You stole their moment. To be a master of level 2, when you catch the ball, you need to look at it, admire it, and throw it back to them one more time before it's your turn to tell a story. We call this the follow-up throw.
So if they tell me about their move from New York, instead of talking about my trip to New York, I should ask, "Moving across the ocean must have been a huge leap. What was the biggest surprise for you when you arrived?"
10 out of 10, Paul. That is active listening in action. You proved that you weren't just waiting for your turn to speak. You proved that you heard their story and you wanted to know more. That is how you build rapport.
You know, Sophia, I'm realizing that level 2 isn't actually about being talkative. It's actually about being curious.
You've hit on a profound truth. The most charismatic people in the world aren't usually the best talkers. They are the best listeners. When you ask a follow-up question, you are giving the other person a psychological gift, the gift of being validated. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, being the person who says, "Tell me more about that," is like being a lighthouse in a storm. People will naturally gravitate towards you because you make them feel interesting.
It's almost like a superpower. You aren't doing the heavy lifting. You're just directing the traffic.
Precisely. And the best part? While they are talking and answering your brilliant follow-up questions, you are gathering intel. You are learning what they value, what they fear, and what they love. This is the fuel you will need for level 3, where we move into deep empathy and real friendship.
I'm starting to feel like a pro already.
I used to fear the silence, but now I see silence as just the space between the throws in a great game of catch.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Paul. So, to our listeners, your mission for level 2 is to banish the words do you and are you for the next 24 hours. Try starting your questions with, what was it like? Or how did you feel when?
And pay attention to the ball. Don't be a ball hog. Throw it back with a follow-up.
Well said. We're going to take a quick break to let that sink in. When we come back, Paul is going to share a hilarious and slightly wet story about a coffee machine and a fire engineer.
Oh man, I still haven't tried out from that one. Don't go anywhere.
You know, Sophia, we've been talking about the theory of small talk, the levels, the strategies, the game of catch. But life has a funny way of throwing a wrench into your plans. Something absolutely unforgettable happened to me this morning that put all my skills to the test.
Oh, I love it when the universe provides a live demonstration. Tell me everything. Where were you?
I was in the break room at the new office. I saw a woman I didn't recognize, a new face, standing right in front of the giant espresso machine. But here's the catch. The machine was behaving very strangely. Thick, white billows of steam were pouring out from the sides, making it look like it was about to launch into space.
A perfect situation for a context starter. It's high stakes, it's visual, and you both share the same experience of a malfunctioning caffeine dispenser. What was your move?
Well, I remembered level 1, fact, perception, plus smile. I walked up, stood beside her, beamed a bright smile, and said, "Wow, look at all that steam. Is the coffee machine practicing to be a volcano today?"
That's a brilliant metaphor. It's lighthearted, it's observational, and it's a clear invitation for her to laugh along with you. It's the perfect ball to throw in a game of catch. So, did she catch it?
Deadpan. Sophia, she didn't just drop the ball, she deflated it. She turned to me, looked me dead in the eye with a face as serious as a judge, and said, "No, sir. I am the fire safety engineer. I am currently testing the thermal sensors of the alarm system, and you are standing directly in the automatic sprinkler zone."
Oh no, Paul, tell me the timing wasn't that perfect.
It was. The second she finished the word zone, there was this sharp click from the ceiling. A split second later, whoosh, I was hit by a wall of cold, high-pressure water. I wasn't just wet, I was a human fountain. My suit, my hair, my dignity, all completely drenched.
I'm so sorry, Paul. That is the ultimate dead-end moment. Most people would have turned red, muttered an apology, and sprinted away in shame. What did you do?
Honestly, for a second, I stood there like a drowned rat, totally stunned. But then I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I realized how absurd the whole thing was. So I just wiped the water from my eyes, laughed, and said, "Well, I guess I don't need that coffee to wake me up anymore. And hey, at least I can personally confirm the system works perfectly. Great job on the installation."
Paul, that is exactly what I mean by the spirit of small talk. You took a moment that could have been a social disaster and turned it into a human moment.
It worked too. She finally cracked a smile. Then she started laughing. We ended up chatting for 10 minutes while I tried to dry off with paper towels. Turns out she's a huge fan of vintage espresso machines and has a great sense of humor when she's off the clock.
You see, the goal of small talk isn't to have a flawless or impressive conversation. It's to show that you are human, that you can handle a bit of awkwardness with grace, and that you don't take yourself too seriously. When you laughed at yourself, you made it safe for her to connect with you.
I guess the invisible wall doesn't stand a chance against a fire sprinkler and a good laugh.
Exactly. Sometimes the best way to break the ice is to get a little wet. We've covered the starters and the game of catch, Paul. But now we've arrived at the final level, the one that separates a casual acquaintance from a true connection. Level 3, empathy and vulnerability. This is the moment where small talk finally evolves into big talk.
Big talk. That sounds a bit intimidating, Sophia. I feel like I've just learned how to talk about coffee and fire sprinklers. How do I move towards something deeper without making the other person feel uncomfortable or bothered? I don't want to be that guy who shares his whole life story with someone I just met 5 minutes ago.
That is a very valid fear. There is a fine line between connecting and oversharing. But here's the secret. Level 3 isn't about telling your deepest secrets. It's about dropping the polished facade.
The polished facade? You mean that I'm doing great, everything is perfect mask we all wear?
Exactly. Think about it. When someone asks, "How are you?" what is the 100% standard response?
I'm fine, busy but good. You?
Exactly. It's safe, it's polite, and it's a total dead end. It's a polished answer that tells me nothing about who you actually are. It's like a smooth glass wall. There's nowhere for the other person to grab onto. To truly connect, you have to show a few cracks.
Okay, I think I follow. But how do I show a crack without sounding like I'm complaining or being negative?
It's all about the invitation. Instead of using a cliché, try sharing a small piece of your current reality, an imperfection. For example, let's say you're both struggling to learn a new system at work. Instead of saying, "It's fine," try, "I have to admit, I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed with this new software. It feels like I'm learning a whole new language. How are you handling it?"
Oh, wow. That feels different. When I say I'm overwhelmed, I'm actually being vulnerable. I'm admitting that I don't have it all figured out.
Precisely. And do you see what happens next? When you admit you're struggling, you aren't being a burden. You are inviting them to be a companion. You are giving them permission to stop being perfect too.
I see it now. It's like I'm saying, hey, I'm human. Are you human too? If they were also feeling stressed about the software, they'll feel this massive sense of relief. They might say, oh, thank goodness, I thought I was the only one who didn't get it.
Exactly. Suddenly, you aren't just two colleagues talking about software. You are two human beings supporting each other through a challenge. As the saying goes, humans connect through the cracks, not through polished facades. It's the light that shines through those cracks that creates a real bond.
It's almost paradoxical, isn't it? We think that being perfect and impressive is how we make friends, but it's actually our imperfections that bring us together.
It is the great paradox of human connection, Paul. We admire people for their strengths, but we love them for their weaknesses. Level 3 is about having the courage to be imperfect in front of someone else.
I'm thinking back to my fire sprinkler story now. Maybe the reason that fire engineer and I ended up laughing was because I was literally drenched in imperfection. I couldn't pretend to be cool or polished even if I wanted to.
Exactly. The water washed away your facade, Paul, and in its place, a real friendship began.
This is powerful stuff, Sophia. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on how to talk to people. It's not about having the right answers, it's about having the right heart.
Well said. So to our listeners, Level 3 is your challenge for the week. Find one moment to be slightly unpolished. Share a small struggle, ask for a bit of advice, and see how much deeper your small talk can go.
Sophia, we've talked about opening the door, playing the game of catch, and even showing our cracks to build deep empathy. But I have to be honest, there is one part of small talk that still fills me with social anxiety.
Oh, what's the final hurdle, Paul?
It's the exit. Sometimes I'm having a great conversation, but I actually have a meeting to get to. Or worse, the conversation has run its course and we're both just standing there awkwardly. How do I escape without looking like I'm bored or even worse, being rude? I usually just wait for a moment of silence and then awkwardly mumble, okay, bye, and practically run away.
You are definitely not alone in that, Paul. Many people stay in conversations much longer than they want to simply because they don't have an exit strategy. But a bad ending can ruin a great beginning. That's why we use the bridge to the future technique.
A bridge to the future? That sounds much more elegant than my emergency exit plan. How does it work?
It's a 3-step process. First, you summarize the joy of the chat. Second, you give an objective reason for leaving. And third, you plant a seed for the future.
Okay, let me try to put that into practice. Imagine I'm talking to that fire engineer again. I'd say, it's been such a pleasure catching up with you and hearing about your espresso machine collection. That's the joy part, right?
Perfect. Now give me the reason.
But I should probably get back to my desk before my boss thinks I've been washed away by the sprinklers. There's the objective reason.
Smiling. And the seed for the future?
And let's continue this over lunch next Tuesday. I'd love to see photos of that 1960s Pavoni machine you mentioned.
Precisely. Do you see what you did there? You didn't say, I'm tired of talking. You said, I value this connection so much that I want to protect it by ending it on a high note and scheduling a next time.
It feels so much better. It's not an escape, it's a pause button.
Exactly. And as a final touch, always include a personalized wish. If they told you they were going to a concert tonight, say, enjoy the show. It proves you were truly listening until the very last second.
Sophia, this has been an incredible journey. From blue chairs to fire sprinklers and bridges to the future, I feel like I have a whole new toolbox for life.
I'm so glad, Paul.
Remember, listeners, communication is a skill, not a talent. Every stranger you meet is an opportunity to practice. Don't be afraid of the silence, and definitely don't be afraid of the cracks.
We want to hear from you. Please comment the word connect below if you are going to try one of these techniques tomorrow. We read every single comment.
Thank you for joining us in the space of connection. Until next time, I'm Sophia.
And I'm Paul. Keep talking, keep listening, and keep connecting.
Bye-bye.
And so, dear Paul, our journey today has traveled from the front doors we once kept locked to opening up colorful landscapes within the human soul. We've navigated 3 distinct levels, from observing the tiny, beautiful details in our surroundings, to using open-ended questions to keep the ball of conversation in the air, and finally, having the courage to show our cracks to create true, lasting empathy.
I have to confess, Sophia, when we started this recording, I still held on to the idea that small talk was something performative, a bit fake even. But now I realize that small talk is actually a form of human kindness. When you choose to shatter that cold silence in an elevator or at a bus stop, you aren't just practicing English. You are giving the person across from you a form of validation. You are telling them, I see you, and you are worth the time it takes to say hello.
What a beautiful perspective, Paul. To our dear listeners, please always keep this in mind. Communication is a skill, not an innate talent. You don't need to be born an extrovert or a master orator. Every stranger you pass on the street, every person in a coffee shop or at the office is an opportunity, a new book waiting to be opened, and you are the one holding the key. Don't fear the awkward moments, and don't worry if the ball of conversation drops sometimes. The only thing that truly matters is that you dared to try.
Exactly. Don't let the invisible wall of your smartphone prevent you from discovering the magnificent castles of the human spirit all around you. And to turn today's knowledge into real-world action, I have a small challenge for everyone listening.
A challenge, Paul? You've certainly got my curiosity.
If you commit that starting tomorrow, you will look up from your screen, offer a smile, and start a conversation, even if it's just a single remark about the aroma of coffee or the morning sun with at least one stranger, then I want you to comment the word connect right now.
Yes, write the word connect as a promise to yourself. Paul and I will read every single one of your comments because we believe that every connect written down is a brick used to build a warmer world, a world where we move closer together through simple greetings.
Smiling. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found our little hammer helpful today. And subscribe so we can meet again in our future spaces of connection. Your support is the heartbeat of Mr. English Channel.
On behalf of the entire team at Mr. English Podcast, thank you so much for giving us your precious time to listen and practice with us. I wish you many warm conversations, unexpected connections, and a heart that is always open to the world.
Goodbye, Sophia, and goodbye to all of you. We'll see you in the next episode with even more powerful communication secrets.
Goodbye and have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.